The UFC in 2025 continues to embarrass themselves and not know what the fans want in any capacity, because this fight, although we knew it was rumored, is now confirmed. Movsar Evloev will fight Aaron Pico in Abu Dhabi, and this really pisses me off because this is indirectly ruining Volk's legacy, and we'll talk about that in this video. I also want to look at the Abu Dhabi card and show how, compared to the US pay-per-views we're getting, it's way better, dude. The United States keeps getting screwed with the worst pay-per-views. Look at 317, 318, 319, and maybe even 320. They're all going to suck. This is ridiculous. I know Lucas Tracy made a similar video yesterday ranting, but I'm going to make another one because all us MMA YouTubers need to be screaming from the rooftops and having our fan bases come for the UFC and say, we're not going to accept this garbage, man. Why are they continuously glazing Bellator fighters? Aaron Pico gets Movsar Evloev in his debut, right? Pitbull gets Yair Rodriguez in his debut, right? Patchy Mix gets number 10 Mario Bautista in his debut, right? Like, what are we doing? Why? Even Kai Asakura, coming from another promotion, gets a title shot. Why do the UFC glaze fighters in other promotions? Is this the way the UFC shows that we have the best fighters? Let's bring in a fighter from another promotion and have the UFC guys smoke them, so we say, okay, the UFC definitely has the best fighters. I don't understand. Michael Chandler comes in the UFC, beats Dan Hooker, gets number 5 Dan Hooker, beats him, gets a title shot, and has been handed constant favors by the UFC. And now we have another Bellator reject in Aaron Pico, who's already been fraud checked multiple times, isn't even undefeated outside the UFC, and now he's facing undefeated Movsar, who should be getting a title shot. Movsar Evloev is undeniably in line for a title shot. He's 9-0 in the UFC. You know the UFC has screwed up when they have us fans defending Movsar Evloev in 2025. Like, I never thought I would say this. You guys go look at my channel 5-6 months ago. I was roasting Movsar, saying, nah, this dude don't deserve a title shot. He's boring a bit. He's not that boring, but he's inactive. He doesn't fight that often. He can't finish anybody. I was roasting him, but now it's like, dude, we're giving Aaron Pico Movsar whenever Yair might get a title shot? Like, what are we doing? Movsar versus Volk is the fight to make. And I'm going to talk about Volkanovski in a second, because this fight is screwing over Volkanovski, and people need to realize that. But this is atrocious. This is embarrassing. And yeah, man, this fight really annoys me. We know what's going to happen. Movsar is going to go out there. He's going to take down Pico, and he's going to beat him up. I wouldn't be surprised if this was Movsar's first finish in the UFC. He is going to beat the dog water out of Pico. Pico's not good. He's been fraud checked multiple times outside the UFC. What happens when you have these guys coming over from other promotions, right? They've been fighting other fighters that are not top level. So when they finally come to the UFC and feel that top level, they're not the same. Look what happened to Patchy Mix a couple weeks ago. He got destroyed by Mario Bautista and used the excuse that he took the fight on short notice. Okay, well, you took the fight on short notice, but that doesn't change the fact that you didn't shoot a single takedown when you're supposed to be this, like, dominant grappler. It was embarrassing. And now we have Aaron Pico, who's supposed to have really good wrestling and striking. No. Movsar Evloev is going to run over Aaron Pico. And then you know what's going to happen? Movsar is probably going to get injured, and then he's going to be out until next year. So what is the UFC going to do? They're going to do Volk versus freaking Yair, which nobody cares about, and we risk Volk getting KO'd by Yair. It's embarrassing, dude. No one cares about Volk versus Yair. I think that the UFC is going to try to do Volk Yair at UFC 321. I can already see it, and nobody cares about that fight. Not me, not you. If you care about Volk Yair, you're just biased, or you're Mexican and you want a Mexican champion. I don't know what other way to put it, but if Yair gets a title shot, it's literally DEI, and there's no other way around it. Like, Volk should be fighting Movsar Evloev right now. Movsar should not be fighting Pico. Why did the UFC tell Movsar's manager that he needs one more win to get a title shot? He's 10-0 or 9-0 in the UFC. He's undefeated, 19-0. People want to talk about Dagestani privilege? What about Bellator privilege, man? Michael Chandler, Patchy Mix, Aaron Pico, who else? Patricio Pitbull. All these Bellator guys come over and they get immediate top 5 fights, or they get immediate title shots after one win. And what are we doing, man? They're not UFC level. That's so clear. I fell for the trap. I picked Patchy Mix, and I'm not going to fall for it anymore. Aaron Pico is getting destroyed by Movsar Evloev. It's either going to be a domination where he wins every single round, or he's going to finish Aaron Pico, and that's going to be his first finish in the UFC. And I truly believe that. I think Movsar is going to steamroll Aaron Pico. I don't care about it. It's not a fun fight. Aaron Pico doesn't deserve it, because guess what? If Aaron Pico goes out and beats Movsar, then he's going to get a title shot in his second fight in the UFC, just like Michael Chandler did. Like, I don't know why Dana White and the UFC glazed these Bellator fighters so hard. Like, what did they do to earn it? Like, I'm sorry, dude. If you come into the UFC, you need to fight. Like, I wouldn't mind if they gave Aaron Pico, right? Like a Dan Ige. That's the fight to make, not Movsar, dude. Give him Dan Ige. Give him somebody at the bottom of the rankings to see if he can hang with that level. You give these guys top fives right away and they get destroyed, and then we can say, oh, told you so. Bellator's just not at that level. Movsar destroys him. Oh, who would have guessed? Like, dude, Aaron Pico has been chinned in other promotions. He's been beat multiple times. He's not top 5 material in the UFC, and Movsar is going to show that. Movsar is going to run through this guy. Like, he's going to make it look easy. I'm calling it right now. And this fight is an absolute embarrassment. And if you're a fan, you should be pushing back against this. We need to be roasting the UFC in every comment section, saying, what are these fights? Just like we did whenever John Jones, the whole John Jones situation. Let's get on to why I think this fight indirectly taints Volk's legacy in a way, because I kind of brushed up upon it, but now Volkanovski, right? This fight, Movsar versus Pico, indirectly messes with Volkanovski's legacy, right? Volkanovski maybe has 2 fights left, right? He's 36 years old. He's going to be 37 in September, and he's probably not going to fight again until he's 37 years old, right? So he's on borrowed time right now. Father Time is undefeated. Volk is looking slower and older than he ever has. He only has maybe 1 or 2 more fights of a good prime Volkanovski, or what he has left, a little bit left of like the second end of his second prime, whatever you want to call it. And we're wasting it on a potential Yair Rodriguez matchup. I know Noche in Mexico got canceled, but don't put it past the UFC to put Volkanovski versus freaking Yair at UFC 321 or 322 for the featherweight belt. Because guess what? Movsar is going to fight in July, right? He's most likely going to get injured. He's going to be out for a while. Movsar is not an active guy. He fights like once every 8 to 10 months. When has Movsar ever said, let me fight back-to-back 3 months later? It's not going to happen. Movsar is going to beat Pico, right? He's going to be 10-0 in the UFC, undeniable. The UFC is going to call him up and be like, hey, man, we got you a title shot versus Volk. He's going to say, well, I can't take it right now. I'm injured because you guys put me against freaking Aaron Pico, and I beat his ass, but now I'm injured. So then Volk's going to have to step up. Unless he wants to sit out for nearly a year, he's going to have to step up and fight Yair Rodriguez, who doesn't deserve it, and let me say it again. I've said it in another video. Does nothing for Volk's legacy. Yair Rodriguez does nothing for Volk's legacy. He has a win over him. He beat him. Okay, he beats him again. What does it do for Volk? Nothing. You've already beaten, finished him. You dominated him. You embarrassed him. You give Yair another title shot. It's another chance for Yair, who's 1-2 in his last 3 with his only win coming off of Patricio Pitbull, who's 37, to get a KO win over Volk. Another fluke win. And that's what we have to deal with. If Yair beats Volk, you're going to have Dana White at the press conference. See, all you fools saying that Yair Rodriguez didn't belong in there with Volk. He showed tonight he belonged in there. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yes, he has a fluke chance to beat Volk, but that doesn't mean that he deserves it. He's 1-2 in his last 3. Why are we not doing Volk versus Movsar? That's the fight to make. The fans are screaming from the rooftops. Like, we all saying it. Every YouTuber on the platform, MMA Joey, Lucas Tracy, MMA Guru, we're all saying the same things. Me. Movsar deserves a title shot. The UFC really has us defending Movsar Evloev in 2025. That's how you know we've done something wrong. And this is embarrassing, and nobody should stand for it. Volkanovski, right, should fight. This is what he should fight. He should fight Movsar Evloev, assuming he wins, right? He has one more fight after that. Then maybe if you want to do him versus, I don't know, John Silva. I don't know, keep Volk away from John Silva. But listen, dude, Yair needs to go out there and get a win. You know what could happen if the UFC was smart? Yair versus Diego Lopez. If Yair goes out there and beats Diego Lopez, then you can do a Volk rematch if he beats Movsar, dude. But even then, I wouldn't want to see it. I don't want to see Volk fight Yair again. I don't give a damn about that fight. But with the UFC booking Movsar versus Aaron Pico, we already know that's what they're aiming for. And it just indirectly taints Volk's legacy because he's going to get a win over Yair again, most likely. That's going to do nothing for his legacy. And then he's going to be more damaged and beat up and older to fight Movsar sometime next year. And it's just not going to be the same fight because Volk's going to be older, more compromised, more injury prone, slower. It's like, dude, what is Dana White in the UFC doing? It makes no sense. Like, Movsar has been screaming he'll fight anybody at featherweight, lightweight, and we get him Aaron Pico. That's the best you can do? I don't know, man. Let me know in the comments if these fights are as ridiculous as I'm making them out to be, guys, because this is BS. The UFC in 2025 is an absolute embarrassment. And I'm going to show you the Abu Dhabi card, and then I'm going to show you UFC 318. I know Lucas Tracy kind of did the same thing yesterday, but I'm going to do the same thing because I want to reiterate once again how atrocious specifically the United States pay-per-views have been. I know we had a bad one in Australia at 312, but United States pay-per-views and even Canada have been embarrassing. The UFC continues to glaze the Middle East with really good cards, and I don't know if Turkey Al-Sheikh has something to do with that, being that he has a ton of money and he's able to pump it into these fights and maybe be like, you know what, Dana, put on big fights in Abu Dhabi and I'll give you guys more money. I don't know if that's what it's about, but look at the Abu Dhabi card. Look at the main card. Robert Whittaker, Rainier de Ritter in the main event. Amazing fight. Movsar Evloev versus Aaron Pico. Shouldn't be on it, but Movsar Evloev, number 4 featherweight contender. Amazing fight. At least amazing seeing Movsar fight. Piotr Jan versus Marcus McGee. Another embarrassing fight. But either way, Piotr Jan, who doesn't want to see him? He should be on a pay-per-view, but he's on a fight night. Piotr Jan, Marcus McGee. Bryce Mitchell, Said Nurmagomedov. Amazing fight. Shara Bullet, Marc-Andre Barrios. Fireworks. Shara Bullet's probably going to get a finish. And Nikita Krylov, Bogdan Guskov. Guess what? Every single one of these fights have ranked fighters outside of the Shara Bullet, Marc-Andre Barrios. And guess what? Shara Bullet's been ranked before. So all ranked fights. Amazing card. And this is not a pay-per-view. That's the sad part, guys. This is a fight night. This is what should be a pay-per-view. But no. Instead of a pay-per-view with this on it, this is what we get for pay-per-views. Let's look at 318 because this is one of the worst cards of all time. I love Dustin Poirier. He's one of my favorite fighters. He's from my hometown. I live in Louisiana. I lived in Lafayette, Louisiana, where he's from for 27 years, and he deserves this final send-off as the main event of 318. But why not stack the card? Because it's for a freaking BMF title fight, which is not an official belt. It's a participation trophy. Let's be real. And I don't even think Dustin Poirier cares to fight for the BMF belt. But either way, look at this main card. This is an absolute embarrassment. This is one of the worst cards in modern UFC history. Like, it's so bad. Having Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen as a co-main event, I wouldn't mind that as an Apex main event, right? There's beef there, but having it as a co-main event of a pay-per-view is absolutely embarrassing. Neil Magny versus Gunnar Nelson on a pay-per-view feature fight in 2025 is one of the most disgusting, atrocious things I've ever seen in my entire life. This should be replaced by Vinicius Oliveira versus, I forgot who he's fighting, but Vinicius Oliveira should be on the main card versus Kyler Phillips, not Neil Magny, Gunnar Nelson. Adam Fugit versus Islam Dulatov. Or are you kidding me? I guarantee you there's not a single casual fan on this planet who knows who Adam Fugit or Islam Dulatov is. Has never even heard of. Only the hardcores know who this is. And it's embarrassing, dude. It's a free win for Islam Dulatov. And why is this on the main card? Like, where do we go wrong? Ikram Aliskerov versus Bruno Ferreira is literally the only valid fight on the main card. And even that, for a main card fight, is kind of embarrassing. But this, I remind you guys, this is a pay-per-view, right? They expect us to shell out $80 for this. This is a fight night. So this is free with ESPN Plus, right? But this is $80. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. And you know what? Being from Louisiana, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to go to this UFC event. I've never been to an event live. 318's in New Orleans. I live a few hours from New Orleans, right? I can make it happen. So I go on the online website. You know, I'm going to be honest. I don't have a ton of money, you know, but I'm like, maybe if the tickets are a few hundred, I can muster it up and get to the event. That'd be amazing to go to my own event. I go on the website to look for an event of this absolute garbage card. $700 is the cheapest ticket. Who's paying $700 to sit in the damn nosebleeds to watch this absolute garbage? And if you are, you're an absolute moron. Like, I'm sorry, dude. There's no way you can defend this being $80 on any scale. It's embarrassing. It's disgusting, and the UFC is just exploiting the hardcore fan base because who in their right mind would grab their debit card, log into ESPN Plus, go on the ESPN website, log into ESPN Plus, put their credit card info in, and say, yeah, purchase. So this is worth $80. Who in their right mind would do this? A dummy would do that. And the UFC wonders why so many people watch the fights by other means, if you know what I'm saying. Because this is what we get in 2025. The United States gets crappy cards. 317 is an embarrassment for an International Fight Week card. 318 is atrocious. 319, most of the fights got announced. It's terrible. 320 is going to be in what, October? Or is it going to be in September? Either way, these cards are embarrassing, man. And people will sit there and gaslight you in the comments and say, dude, you guys are just ungrateful. Like, the UFC's putting on fights and you guys are just complaining and complaining. Yes. We're complaining. If these fights were all free, sure, I'd be upset, but I'd be like, okay, I understand. All the fights are free, but they're charging $80 for this. And that's why fans are upset, because in order to be a UFC fan in 2025, it costs over $1,200 a year if you're from the US. ESPN Plus, what is it? $15.99 a month, $11.99 a month, whatever it is, plus $80 per pay-per-view. Do that times 12. It's over $1,200. Of course, us fans are going to be yapping and complaining because these cards suck. And we're going to have to sit through Neil Magny versus Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson just got beat by Kevin Holland, and he's not ranked, and he fights once every 2 years. Why is he on the main card of a pay-per-view? Like, come on, dude. This is Dustin Poirier's final UFC fight. At least stack the undercard. We don't even have an official title fight on this card. But no, they stack Abu Dhabi cards because Dana White's playing touch butt with Turkey Al-Sheikh in the park, And now this is what we get for the Abu Dhabi card, which I am excited for. Everybody should be excited. This is an absolute banger of a card. Like I said, some of the fights were ridiculous. Piotr Jan versus Marcus McGee, but Movsar versus Aaron Pico. But I'm just excited to see ranked fighters fight, even if the fights make no sense. But yeah, man, this is getting out of control. Like, as a lifelong fan, I've never been more disappointed in this sport. I have an entire YouTube channel built around this sport. I've been watching this sport since 2004. I built half my damn life talking about this sport and yapping about it and making videos about it. And I love it, man. But it's just like the current state of it is just kind of depressing, and it's embarrassing. And it's getting harder and harder to sit there and watch these pay-per-views without falling asleep. Like, I'm going to have to start popping some energy pills or drinking Red Bulls again, because I can't make it through these cards without my eyes slowly finding their way closing every time, because look at these fights. The only plus about this main card, if there is any, is that there's no WMMA fights. But hell, give me a WMMA title fight over Neil Magny versus Gunnar Nelson at this point. But I don't know, man. Am I being ridiculous? Or are me and the other MMA YouTubers just complaining too much? Let me know in the comments. I just think these cards are embarrassing when you're asking the fans in the US to pay over $1,200 a year and then giving us slop every single time. Like the video if you like me going off on the UFC, because we're going to continue to do it until they clean their act up. I'm out, guys. Peace.